Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Access Blockbusters pod. If you are new to the Access Blockbusters YouTube channel or podcast, welcome. This is the official podcast of the Access Blockbusters YouTube channel, and it is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, wherever you are listening from. Welcome, hello, welcome to Access Blockbusters. So, first of all, again, just, housekeeping. If you haven't subscribed to the Access Blockbusters YouTube channel, please make sure to do so. Thor: Love and Thunder is coming out. We will be covering all of that goodness in the coming weeks. And the Beginner's Guide to the MCU. If you have friends or family who are interested in joining the MCU and don't really know what to do because Thor: Love and Thunder is coming out, I have two videos. The Beginner's Guide to the MCU Part 1 and Part 2, and they talk about basically everything you need to know before going into the MCU, so make sure to show that video to them, share that video around, all that good stuff. Okay, full transparency with you guys. If you guys haven't been following my community page, then basically I'll just reiterate really quickly. This week has been very busy for me. And so that's why you haven't seen the podcast come out until now. Whenever it's coming out, I'm recording this as of Thursday, July 7th, I believe. Yeah, July 7th. And I believe the podcast will come out Friday, hopefully, July 8th, if not Saturday, July 9th. And it usually comes out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So yeah, it's a little bit late, but basically this week has been insanely busy. Been working on a lot of projects. I actually do have a call I need to get to in almost exactly 45 minutes at most. So this podcast will not exceed that time. I legitimately have an alarm set on my phone, and hopefully it won't ring. Hopefully I'll be able to wrap this up before that alarm goes off. But this is going to be a tight one. It's an episode where we have a lot to talk about, so I'm going to try to, shorten the intro as much as I can, but, basically, we're just gonna get going. This is basically the best time that I had this week to record a podcast episode, and apologies right away, you might have noticed already that I'm not going to be able to do the moving images, the slides, and posting the images and stuff like that. I will try to work in some images here and there throughout the edit, as I will have some more time to edit later on than I will have to record, but again, it's not going to be like previous weeks where I'm moving the slides around myself and you guys will be able to follow along as we go. It'll just probably be me inserting maybe a few Miss Marvel images throughout the Miss Marvel segment, just, to give the YouTube viewers something else to look at other than just one image. That's all it is. Sorry for the frantic opening. Again, it's just been a crazy week, but I'm here. And let's settle in for the next 40 minutes or so and talk about all sorts of things. So, first thing up, and I'm not going to dwell on this too much. I'm not even going to make this its own video. It doesn't need to be its own video. Again, if you're not following the community page for my YouTube channel, it means you're not subscribed. And if you haven't subscribed, please make sure to subscribe. But I just want to reiterate this really quickly and also just give some additional context. Warner Brothers has had a hard time with Flash, as we know. Ezra Miller has had their problems, and that's unfortunate. And the movie The Flash is about done, and so what does Warner Brothers do about it? Well, I'll tell you what they shouldn't do, is they shouldn't stay quiet. As of the recording of this video, as far as I know, they haven't said anything publicly yet, and that's a problem. That is a problem. And so, it came out in Variety a little while ago that the Flash movie is still going to be put in theaters. That's not official confirmation from Warner Brothers, and it's unfortunate, but it may very well end up being the best decision that they have. But again, I just want to reiterate here on the record that I made that video saying I won't watch the Flash movie, and it was really contingent upon the fact that Warner Brothers hasn't done anything. And I still stand by that. If they decide to put the movie in theaters, and they decide to put out a statement and really address the situation head on, and say, look, we're really in an unfortunate position. This happened with our actor, and we just want you to see the movie anyways because we think it's a great movie. That's I'm not going to say that's enough. I'll reserve judgment if and when that happens. But I just want to reiterate, I reserve the right to change my mind if and when Warner Brothers decides to say something. And they haven't still, and so as of right now, I still will not be watching The Flash in theaters, and I suggest that you do the same, but I will not be making those decisions for you. That is all I had to say about that. Okay, so for today's episode, we have 3 movies and television shows to talk about. I will be spending the majority of the time talking about Stranger Things Volume 2 and Stranger Things Season 4, as the other two, to be quite honest, I don't think deserve to be talked about that much. at least compared to Stranger Things and Miss Marvel. Sorry, as compared to Stranger Things. But we will give them their time. I will talk about my thoughts on a couple different things, and then we will move on to Stranger Things for the rest of the episode. And like I said, in my post on the community page, I keep hyping it up. But again, please subscribe. You'll be able to see all the updates on the channel. I post pretty frequently. Next week will be basically just Thor: Love and Thunder. We'll be talking all sorts of things Thor: Love and Thunder. And we'll also, if I can finish the show by then, which is, I've been watching the show for like 3 weeks because of Stranger Things and because of other things. But the Umbrella Academy Season 3, hopefully. We'll see. I'm less certain about that now because I thought I have 3 episodes left and, 3 episodes, but it's taking a while. That's not an indictment on the show, by the way. It's just, it is what it is. And also, The Boys Season 3, I might talk about that as well, but we will see. Let me know in the comments down below. Do you guys want to hear the review of The Boys Season 3? Frankly, I don't quite know if my audience is into that, kind of show, but we'll see. I frankly just don't know. Not that you wouldn't be into that kind of show, just sort of the graphic nature. I tend to keep, everything very age appropriate here. Not to say that we don't talk about things like Logan and Deadpool and things like that, but you know what I mean. So again, just let me know in the comments if you'd like to hear that, and we will move on. So the first movie that I wanted to talk about today is a movie that I saw yesterday. It's very fresh in my mind, and it's a movie that has gained immense popularity amongst the critics, and a lot of them say this is the best movie of the year. And so because a lot of people have said this is the best movie of the year, and I got a chance to see it, it was at a showing yesterday, and I decided to, why not check it out? And I did. And so I saw yesterday the movie Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. For those of you who don't know anything about the movie, I would suggest, skipping ahead to the Miss Marvel Episode 5 review, as I will at least be giving the basic premise. Now, unlike other reviews where, for more of the mainstream things, right? Like Miss Marvel and like Doctor Strange or Moon Knight or whatever, I give spoiler reviews. Obi-Wan, Black Adam, whatever that comes out, Flash, whatever. I will give spoiler reviews pretty much right out of the gate because I'm usually not going to be dropping a review before the movie comes out, or pretty immediately afterwards. It's just a really quick turnaround, so I'll usually be a little bit late. And at that point, spoilers, it's game, right? So Thor: Love and Thunder, I might do spoiler just because it's it's about 5 days afterwards when the podcast will be coming out, so maybe. But for a movie like Everything Everywhere All at Once, where I'm going to presume that not everybody in the audience has seen it and might be watching my review, because let's be honest, right? The movie's been out for a while. It's actually almost on streaming, so this might even just be a recommendation to watch it on streaming or not. I think it is on Apple TV, if I'm not mistaken. So you might not have seen the movie. I'm going to presume that a good chunk of you haven't seen this movie yet. So I'm going to keep this actually completely non-spoiler, other than what is revealed in the trailers. So like I said, if you don't want to know the anything about the premise of this movie, then I would suggest moving forward to Miss Marvel and coming back later if you're interested in this movie at all. Okay, so as we've seen in the trailers, and I have to say, by the way, I saw this trailer, it might have been Spider-Man No Way Home-ish, Eternals-ish trailer for this movie, and I hated it. I thought the trailer for this movie was one of the worst trailers I have ever seen in my entire life. I legitimately thought it was one of the worst trailers I had seen in my entire life. I understand that if people don't think the same way as I do on that, but I really hated the trailer. Again, what brought me to this movie was that almost all of my favorite critics and movie pundits online have been saying this is one of the best movies of the year. And I thought, okay, well, I really am not super looking forward to it on the basis of what I've seen so far, but if people are saying it's good, then I will give it a shot. So I went to go and see it, and here's what I will say. Is the movie, first of all, is it good? In my eyes. I'm going to say no. And that's a very complicated no, because it almost becomes philosophical at that point. It almost becomes ontological, like what is good in this sense? What does it mean for a movie to be good? I'm not entirely sure, but I'll just say up front, did I think the movie is good? I don't think so. Do I think it's bad? I definitely don't think so. Did I like the movie? Definitively no. Again, did I dislike the movie? Also, definitively no. Do I regret watching the movie? No, I don't. So I wanted to give those qualifiers up front, just maybe to kind of paint a picture of what my experience watching the film was. Let me get the good stuff out of the way before I talk about what I think sort of hampered the movie. First of all, the concept of the multiverse. We are, I've actually talked about this before with people. Science fiction fantasy goes through phases. It just happens. As new technologies and new discoveries arise in the real scientific community, and as our imaginations begin, as continue to grow further, science fiction fantasy, I don't know if you've noticed, goes through waves. I would say in the 80s and 90s, we had a lot of talk about artificial intelligence, robots, Terminator. We had Blade Runner, things like that. Things about sentient robots, kind of trying to get us. And as we moved into the age of Siris and Googles and Alexas, and I'm sorry if I've activated those for you, I apologize. But it's become less of science fiction and more of science fact. In the early 2000s, and I would say 2010s, we went through a dystopian phase. And again, I think that, not to get too bleak here, but as we look at the future of the world, dystopia, it might not be as fictitious as we once thought. And so maybe I suspect that's why we're kind of growing out of this whole dystopia phase. We had things like The Hunger Games, Divergent, Maze Runner, things like that. And now in the 2020s, and to be fair, this was a trend long before, Secret Wars and Crisis on Infinite Earths and things like that. So this is not uniquely to the 2020s, but it seems like we're going through a wave of multiverse fiction. And I am confident. People who are saying I'm sick of the multiverse already, like Marvel's overdoing it and whatever. Marvel aside, I do believe that this will pass. Just like how we thought, another YA dystopian novel, and this will pass. Whatever the next phase is, and whatever the reason for us passing through the multiverse phase is, I don't know, but this will pass. But we're getting a lot of multiverse content, and so we got. Ironically, we got Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness and Everything Everywhere All at Once, two mouthfuls of titles, by the way, but both dealing with the multiverse. And I will say, the concept and sort of the way the multiverse works in Everything Everywhere All at Once is very well done. It is very unique. It is surprising in ways that I actually didn't really think about after seeing the trailer. And I think it's better utilized, is what I will say. Now, those people complaining, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness didn't even use the multiverse. That's wrong. That is wrong. After watching a film like Everything Everywhere All at Once, if your complaint is that they didn't use the multiverse enough, fine. Fair. If you wanted them to visit different universes, fine. Fair. I will still contend that Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness did exactly what it wanted to do within the multiverse, using the multiverse. I'm going to say this word so many times, so I apologize, but using the multiverse as just a plot device, and people might have been disappointed with that, but honestly, at the end of the day, that's what they did. And so, like it or not, that is what the movie was. This film definitely leans more heavily into the multiverse and what the multiverse actually might be and what it signifies and all that sort of stuff, and I thought that was great. Michelle Yeoh, while I am not going to say that her performance was lightning, I think that there are moments where it is a little goofy, intentionally so, very intentionally so. She gives it her all, and I really commend her for that. I have not seen an actress or an actor give it their all, almost as much as Michelle Yeoh has in a while. She really gives it her all, and I really commend her for that. I do think also, underneath this madness, this multiverse of madness, if you will, within this movie, that there is a story there. And we're going to transition slowly into the negatives, but staying on the positives. The story there, and actually the social commentary of the film, is quite poignant. I wish they had done more with it, to be quite frank, but it is pretty poignant and it is pretty well done. So I will give props to the movie for that. And I think that there are moments of emotionality and moments where you kind of feel what the characters are going through. And it's good. The movie is also very funny. That was unexpected going into it, but the movie is funny. There is a sequence in the middle that I laughed so hard at. it involves no, I'm not going to say it. There's another scene actually that precedes it, I believe, that was very graphic and that I did not expect from this movie. But the scene after that, not the graphic one, was hilarious. I believe it was after. Anyways, if you have seen the movie, I'm sure you'll be able to guess maybe what it is. But yeah. So there's that. That being said, the best way that I can describe this movie is that it feels like every single thing that the writers and directors wanted to do, they were allowed to do, for better and for worse. This movie is overwhelming. I left this movie exhausted. I was exhausted. And I don't think that's necessarily a good thing. It wasn't in the cathartic sort of way of like, oh, like, it's over. Like, I feel, the sense of relief and joy and euphoria or whatever. It was just, I don't want to watch another minute of this. There is a lot of style over substance, for sure. I don't think it's too much. I don't think that it's too style over substance, but it definitely is style over substance, if that makes sense. And it works in most places. But there are some really absurd sequences that just are funny and kind of horrifying, but also just really absurd. And that's sort of what the film, I think, struggles with at its core, is that it's trying to balance a actually very nuanced and emotional story with craziness, and it doesn't work all the time. There are a lot of crazy concepts and visuals that you're looking at while trying to process a very emotional scene, and sometimes it works. There's a very cool conceptual scene towards the end, but sometimes it doesn't. And that's why when the emotions are supposed to hit, they didn't really hit for me, to be quite honest with you. Again, it's a film that I'm going to wrap this up pretty quickly because we got to move on to Miss Marvel, but it's a film that I would recommend only if you really want to see what crazy multiverse and what just experimental filmmaking looks like. And honestly, I have to say, in certain places it's very experimental. In certain places it's very boring and very generic, and that's a little surprising to me. I was actually able to guess the story from the beginning, and that's not something that I had expected going into a multiverse film, but I knew exactly where the movie was going from the very beginning, which is surprising. And also, some of the writing is kind of bad. It's like Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness bad, and that's also surprising. But again, it's not an atrocious film. It's not an amazing film. It's a film that I don't regret watching at all because of just the experience of it. But I would never see it again. I would also not really recommend it to many people. But again, if you listen to the review and if you're interested, then go watch the film. I didn't enjoy it, but I experienced it. So, yeah, there it is. All right, let's move on to Miss Marvel Episode 5. Now, for those of you who have been watching the channel, you will know that I loved Miss Marvel Episodes 1 through 3, and I didn't like Miss Marvel Episode 4. I think Miss Marvel Episode 4, for everything well that it did, going to Pakistan and showing the culture and learning more about the partition and the family dynamics, also severely rushed the Red Dagger storyline. The Noor just show up randomly, and we have Kamala Khan and entering the 1940s, I believe, and entering that train scene during the partition. And so we enter episode 5. Now look, it's no secret that Marvel has had its problems with its Disney Plus shows. For what it's worth, I think WandaVision is the closest that a show has come to being amazing and consistent. I think that Moon Knight is really good, but wildly inconsistent towards the end, especially. I think Loki has some really good things in it, but is incoherently inconsistent. Falcon and the Winter Soldier is whatever. Hawkeye is fun, but it's, kind of weird at the end. And yeah, so we move into Miss Marvel. And the first 3 episodes of this show felt so consistent and so fun and just felt like a great first half of season 1. And then episode 4 happened, and then episode 5 happened. Spoilers ahead, full spoilers ahead. I didn't like episode 5. Now, just to give a really random analogy, this may not work as well as I'd like it to, but let's just, so I really like, for example, a chocolate chip cookie, and I really like a pizza, for example. Sorry if you can hear my phone going off in the background. We gotta keep recording, but I love those things individually. I think they're just great. Some of you might enjoy this combination, so this analogy might not work, but if I put a chocolate chip cookie on top of pizza and took a bite of them both combined, it's going to be weird. I haven't tried this actually. It might be really good. Anyway, let's just go with the analogy. It's gonna be weird, and that doesn't mean that if I take a bite of pizza and the chocolate chip cookie at the same time and think this doesn't work, that I don't love those individual aspects, right? And so when I say that I don't like Miss Marvel episodes 4 and 5, don't take that as me saying that the elements of them going to Pakistan and the cultural elements don't work. I think those elements work beautifully well. I think that the exploration of the culture and the partition work really well within this episode. But again, putting them in this episode, in this show, something's not right. Something's not working. I think that the first 15 minutes of this episode 5, where you're exploring the Aisha and Hassan, I believe is the great grandfather's name, and Sana. I think that's great. It also feels like it belongs in Act 1 or Act 2 of a show, and not Act 3, which episode 5 is. But I was enjoying watching it. I was enjoying it. I never enjoy when I don't remember the I'm sorry, it's not the actor. The actress is fine, but and the character is it's the character really of the clandestines. They're so forgettable. I don't remember the Korean no. Kamran, sorry. The Korean is the Red Dagger, right? Kamran's mom. I don't remember her name. But whenever she shows up, it's like, oh man. Like, really, lady? And to be fair, like, the reason I don't remember is because she's been in the show for like 10 minutes total, and then she just randomly keeps showing up, and then, spoiler alert, she melts at the end of this episode. What? And then she just gives Kamran her powers, and he blows up Bruno's house, and Bruno's back for no reason, and I don't understand what's going on anymore. It feels like the first 3 episodes are great 3 episodes of season 1. And then these last 2 episodes have just been like 2 entire seasons of television just crammed, or another extra season of television just crammed into an act of this show. It's so rushed. I don't care about Kareem and Kamala's relationship at all. I don't care that he gives her the scarf. It's just to give her the costume. I actually think some of the writing in this episode is really bad as well. I think that some of that language, or some of the writing between the mom and the grandmother and Kamala, like, it's not subtle. And the relationship had been very subtle beforehand. There was this strife, this tension, and all of a sudden it's just like, we're good now. Like, you're the light girl. We're good now. And also, to address the elephant in the room, the whole time travel, like self-fulfilling Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban prophecy. I'm only going to go on this episode, about this episode for another minute or so, and then we got to move on to Stranger Things, for the remainder of the episode. But, yeah, it's fine, it works, it's whatever, but it just doesn't feel like it belongs in the show, where the first 3 episodes are this really charming, sweet, adorable, coming-of-age sitcom about culture and about high school and about life, and now the show feels just wildly inconsistent, and I am so bummed. I wasn't even this disappointed in Moon Knight when the finale and the last couple episodes came out, because they weren't great either, to be honest. They were fine. But again, the first 3 episodes of Miss Marvel were the best first 3 episodes of any Disney Plus series ever. I stand by that. Mandalorian, Obi-Wan, over everything. And even over WandaVision, by the way. Still my favorite Disney Plus MCU show. And yet, Marvel cannot stick the landing. These shows cannot be churned out like they're cookie cutter. You cannot sacrifice quantity for quality. Like, these things take time. A season of Stranger Things takes years to develop. And you're trying to churn out these shows within 12 months. It's not working. Feige. He doesn't listen to my show. It's not working. I don't know what else to say. WandaVision was 9 episodes at least. It worked better. And She-Hulk will be 9 episodes. Maybe it will be better. I don't know. It may not be a coincidence that WandaVision and She-Hulk end up being the 2 best shows because they're longer. They have more time to develop. I don't know that. I'm just disappointed. So, we'll head into Miss Marvel's finale, and we will see. We will see what happens. But again, this show is not toppling WandaVision. It'll probably be my second favorite, but the gap between this and WandaVision is very large. So, yeah, not a big fan of Miss Marvel episode 5, but we'll move on to something I am a bigger fan of, and yeah, comment down below about Miss Marvel. All right, guys, let's talk Stranger Things season 4. Full spoilers ahead. If you haven't seen volume 2 yet, if you haven't finished the season, come back later, save this video for later, and let's talk about Stranger Things. So, if you guys want to know my thoughts on Stranger Things Volume 1, Season 4, I have a video up there. It's in the Access Blockbusters pod. Go check that out. But again, I will not be reiterating my thoughts about that. We will just be diving to Volume 2 and what I think about Volume 4 as a whole for the remainder of this episode for the next 15 minutes or so. So, Stranger Things Volume 2, Season 4 had a lot to wrap up, for sure. But it also had a lot of time to do that. Cough, cough, MCU shows and Star Wars shows. It had a lot of time to do that. It had actually 4 hours of real estate to do that. And so I was just excited because the one thing that Stranger Things can do incredibly well is end their shows. Every single season finale of Stranger Things 1, 2, 3, and 4 have been absolutely perfect in the context of what the shows are. I may not have liked elements of those seasons heading into the finale, but the way that they were able to wrap them up, it's almost always perfect. Almost always perfect. And so going into season 4, I mean, I had lofty expectations. And what can I say? The show delivered. I love the finale. I loved episode 8. I really liked episode 8, I should say. And I love the finale. I won't dwell on episode 8 for too long because I just want to talk about the finale all day long. But, I think episode 8 was good. Very good. Very good. And I think that 11 showing off that, her powers and all that, it was really great to see again. Obviously, the reunion between her and Mike and Will and Jonathan and, Argyle for some reason. By the way, actually, no, we'll save that for the finale. But anyways, I think episode 8 was good. And I just really quickly want to touch on the fact, well, first of all, is Dr. Owens alive? I hope so. Love Paul Reiser in the show. He's great. But anyways, yeah, I mean, I go back and forth on this about my thoughts about Jason and the character of Jason. Because he kind of just shows up here and there, and he randomly just shows up at the Warzone place, and I think it was there just to be, like, the distraction for Lucas at the end of the show, but, it was, like, that part was not my favorite of the season, and I think it worked fine in episodes 8 and 9, but, it is what it is. I mean, again, they're formulating a plan, they have a plan, and I love that about the kids. They have their plan. The Russian stuff is still kind of iffy because I enjoy watching it because of the actors, David Harbour, Winona Ryder, Brett Gelman, I believe, and the guy who plays Yuri and the guy who plays Dmitri. I've just, Yuri's been, I don't know, he's grown on me a lot. I think even more so than Eddie. We'll talk about Eddie, by the way. My gosh. I think Yuri has really grown on me as a character. And I do love Dimitri. I believe Dimitri's his name. Enzo, the other guy, Hopper's friend. He's great. Just some of the stuff in the Russian prisons it's okay. Yeah, I'd be glad to get out of there. Although I think there is still a lingering mystery of how they were able to get that part of the shadow or Mr. Goo or whatever that thing is. I think maybe we might have to address that in season 5. Although the Duffers have said that they won't be going back to Russia. They'll all be on Hawk in season 5. Makes sense, obviously. But yeah, so there's that. But yeah, and the final thing about episode 8 that I'll say is that I loved, because I was screaming at my TV saying, look, 11... if you say I forgive you, Papa, at the end of when he dies, it makes no sense. Like, this man, sorry, the phone went off again. This man has just abused her and, claims that he really cares for her, which he may well think. But when he says, please tell me you understand, and she says goodbye, I was like, that is it shows that the Duffer brothers completely understand their characters, and I love that. So yeah, episode 8 was really good. But let's get into the finale, the piggyback. Wow, what a crazy 2 episodes of Stranger Things. I think all 4 seasons finales, 4 seasons of Stranger Things, their finales have made me cry. Season 3 a lot, season 4 a lot. There are several moments where I yeah, I cried a lot. And it's just a testament, you know. I First of all, Steve's alive. I mean, my gosh, I thought he was a goner, and if Steve had legitimately died, I would have lost it like completely. I love Steve so much, but yeah, I mean, it's hard to think about this episode linearly, but we'll kind of go from the beginning and then just work our way through the moments. But first of all, with Argyle, it's good to finally see that he had a really significant role to play in the show, other than just driving them around and finding that, you know, the little girl thing, like in the forest, or in the desert thing was kind of funny. But he, you know, it's good that the pizza place came in handy, I guess. And to be fair to him, he was actually very funny in this episode. I think that Eduardo Franco really was actually quite funny in this episode, and his lines about like the you know, you got to be clean about the bath before you go do a mind fight, and all. It was funny. That being said, I don't really care for the character that much. I don't think it's anything to do with Eduardo Franco's acting. I think he did exactly what the Duffers told him to do. I just think this might be a case of, I hope he's not in season 5 just because we had the comedic relief, and that's it. Let's move on. Let's move on to Will really quickly. I think that Will, the character, it's going to hinge on season 5. If season 5 doesn't really dive into Will and his potential, not potential, all but confirmed sexuality, and you know, the fact that he has a crush on Mike and all that sort of stuff, if it doesn't dive into that, I don't know. If it doesn't dive into just his sadness and his connection to the Mind Flayer and his connection to Vecna, I don't know, because it seems like that's what the show has been leading towards, maybe. Kind of like how season 1 was Mike's season, season 2 was kind of Dustin's season, honestly. I think, at least. Dustin and Lucas, maybe. Season 3 was, I don't know, actually. Yeah, nice. Maybe season 3 was also Dustin's season. Dustin has had a lot to do in this show. It's been fun. Season 4 is definitely Max's, and I think season 5 should be Will's. I really do. And yeah, I think that Mike is good, is fine. I think that his "I love you" speech, it's weird because it feels like such a expected speech. Like you see it coming from 10 miles away. But the way that Finn Wolfhard plays it, it's like, and the way that Millie Bobby Brown reacts to it is just, it's beautiful somehow. And so that was great, you know. I mean, Mike didn't have a lot to do. I hope he gets a lot more to do in season 4. He was a lot more active in season 1, obviously. He was the guy who believed in Elle before everyone else did. That was great. And there's that. Jonathan, I really do like the character. All those people who are saying he and Nancy should just break up, I'm one of those people who, I really hope they kind of figure it out, because I love Steve. I hope Steve finds someone else, honestly. Like, I don't think Steve and Nancy makes a ton of sense either, even though that's what they've been hinting at, and that's probably what we'll get, or one of them will die, and that'll be even worse. I just want Steve to be happy, man. Like, at the end where no one hugs Steve, and where he's just helping out at the shelter, and, you know, just watching other people be happy, it just, I don't know, made me sad. But yeah, Jonathan, he has some things to work out, and I hope that they can recover this character. I do. Because I do like him. I do like him a lot. So that was that storyline, and the whole piggybacking thing with Elle, I think that was good, and obviously Millie Bobby Brown gives a great performance, especially when she's, you know, in the Upside Down, in the Mind Flayer, Vecna's Mind Layer. That was good. And yeah, but I mean, I want to talk about the Hawkins stuff. Well, let's first talk about the Russian stuff. I mean, one of my biggest things, the thing that I've seen this clip now several times, because the Kate Bush running up that hill epic version that they played in the Volume 2 trailer is in the show, and that's awesome. Also, Journey's Separate Ways was in episode 8, the epic version from trailer, the trailer for Volume 1, which was also awesome. And yeah, that scene where the music is playing and they're all triumphing over Vecna and throwing Molotov cocktails at him, and Hopper has a sword, but every time I see that clip, I go, why does Hopper have a sword? Why is there a sword in a Russian prison? It doesn't matter. The scene's awesome. But yeah, the Russian prison stuff, it's I think it's good that they didn't go to Hawkins actually to help the kids. It would have felt very frantic, and the finale does feel frantic to begin with anyways. But still, I think it would have felt even more so, just like, we got to get back. And I think that the fact that they had more to deal with in Russia, it kind of felt like they sidelined them a little bit, but still, it was good. And again, we love Dimitri, we love Yuri, we love Hopper, we love Joyce, especially love Murray, just using the flamethrower to to demolish those Demogorgons. That was great. It's great. But let's get to Hawkins. Now, this storyline was incredible. First of all, Eddie playing Metallica's Muppet of Masters. That's a show. Puppet of Masters. My gosh, that's that's crazy. Anyways, Puppet of Master of Puppets. I don't, what is the song called anymore? But that scene where he's on the roof of the trailer playing the guitar solo is one of the best scenes of cinema or television I have ever seen in my entire life. It is going to go down as one of the best scenes I have ever seen in my life. It is awesome. And I don't even love Metallica that much. I don't even love 80s music that much, to be honest. But this show, just the way that they do it, it is incredible. Incredibly well done. One of the best scenes I've ever seen. And speaking of Eddie, he dies. And man, I didn't expect to feel that much. Like, I really liked Eddie. I didn't like him as much as Bob per se, but Bob in season 2. But I like the character a lot, but it was just the performance. Joseph Quinn and especially Gaten Matarazzo, they sold it. They really sold it, and it got me. It really did get me. It was just stunningly beautiful. And yeah, it's crazy how much emotion that these kids can get out. Because they're kids. I mean, they're not kids there anymore. They're adults, most of them. But that scene, and I think the scene also where he tells Eddie's uncle, and I love how Eddie's uncle is like, no, I don't, is not like, no, I don't believe you. You know, my nephew's alive. He just he sees the pic, and he starts crying, and he accepts it, and it's just, man, what a show, what a show. But obviously, I mean, not obviously, but the scene that just really broke me was the whole stuff with Max, and the scene obviously where she gives that monologue of "I wish that you would take me as well." It's brutal. It's beautiful. It's brutal. Man, it is just brutal. But obviously the scene where she quote unquote dies, and Caleb McLaughlin gives the best performance he has in the entire show, where he just breaks down and screams. That scene just broke me. This season finale, it really just brought the emotion, and that scene just crushed me. I almost wish, not in a sadistic way, that Max had died, because it feels like if you rewatch season 4, you kind of know going in that you have 2 fake out deaths for Max in one season. It's kind of odd. But they have plans for in season 5. I have no doubt that one of the main storylines in season 5 will be Max reawakening somehow, like Elle trying to wake up Max maybe, or something like that. But yeah, it was beautiful and brutal at the same time, and it broke my heart. And yeah, wrapping up the season, I mean, Vecna is defeated, but also he's not. And I had called it all along, by the way, that Vecna is the one in charge. People who were like, no, it was the Mind Flayer, and Vecna is his 4-star general. It's clear to me that in that scene, Dustin was just theorizing, and that Vecna has always been in charge. So I was not personally surprised by that at all, actually. A lot of people were, but not me. Apologies if you can hear the more sounds outside. Sorry, things are going on. I need to wrap up the episode like right now, actually, but just a couple more minutes. Yeah, Steve's alive. Robin's alive. She's finding love. It's cool. Hope that character is happy. Nancy and Jonathan got some things to work out. I, again, cried when Elle and Hopper reunited. That was, again, beautifully acted. Again, by Millie Bobby Brown and David Harbour. But the season ends on a cliffhanger. Season ends with Hawkins invaded by the Upside Down. Vecna has won. One of my friends really said, and I agree with this is really the Avengers Infinity War for Stranger Things. It really is. It really is. They got a lot of stuff to reckon with. And it's exciting. Season 5 should take place mostly in Hawkins and the Upside Down, or both, if they're both the same thing now. And we're going to find out some more. I'm really curious to how Vecna shaped the Upside Down to look like Hawkins, because it wasn't like that when he first got there, and how and why he stopped it when Will entered. Why he stopped it on that day. I don't know. But I'm excited. I love this show. This is my second favorite show of all time behind Friends. I love this show. And the way that the characters and the actors are able to bring that emotion and bring the pain and bring the funny, that's Try Guy stuff. Bring the humor and the heart. This is one of the greatest shows I've ever seen in my life. And I'm so glad that we're getting a full fifth season. I'm so bummed that it's ending, but I'm also so happy that another spinoff is coming as well. And I love season 4. I loved season 4. It had some lows for sure. The way that I describe season 3 is pretty applicable to season 4. It had higher highs than any of the other seasons before that. It also had lower lows than any of the other seasons before that. And at the end of the day, if I had to rank the seasons, this is unpopular. I love season 3. I really love season 3. Because again, I think the highs of season 3 really outweigh the more goofy Russian Arnold Schwarzenegger parts of it. So I would go 3 as 1, 4 as 2, 1 as 3, and 2 as 4. I love all of them though. Like my least favorite is probably season 2. And again, when I rewatched them all before heading into season 4, I loved season 2. It was great. So this show continues to amaze me. And it is, again, just one of the best pieces of content I think out there in the world right now. So yeah, Stranger Things season 4, awesome. Looking forward to season 5. And guys, we made it. We went a couple minutes over, to be fair, but we made it. This is the end of the Access Blockbusters podcast, episode 17. Next week, Thor: Love and Thunder. I'm super excited. Again, this episode will be coming out probably when you have already seen Thor: Love and Thunder, knowing my audience. So don't be surprised that I don't address it here. I haven't seen it yet. I will be seeing it tomorrow, and I'm super excited. But again, that will do it. Thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure to subscribe, give this video a like, give the podcast a like, a review on Apple Podcast, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.